Hello everyone. Today's topic is how to differentiate between self love, self respect, self worth, and ego. Mm, my most of my videos are related to um, people who grow up in a toxic family system, very negative ideology. They are surrounded with, so they are taught a lot of wrong things in life. Um, and usually, unless somebody or they themselves wake up from it, they end up thinking that that is their actual reality. Giving, this is what family believes, this is what religion tells, this is what society is, this is what our cultural value is. This is exactly why I usually correlate one thing. Apart from the life on earth, what do you know? If somebody is separated from their parents from birth and they were kept on an island, this is just an example I'm giving. If they were kept on an island and they were told, like, if you know that Truman Show, um, I I hope I pronounced it right. It's been a long time that I saw that movie. If you kidnap a child or separate a child from its parents since birth and keep it on an island and surrounded by adults who are trained to behave in a very particular way, and if these children are told, there is nothing left in the world, they are the last ones on earth, there is nothing else left, so they have to behave, they have to believe in certain things, and they have to force themselves to be that person, and they are not allowed to leave that island. Nobody comes in, nobody goes out, everybody talks about the same thing, everybody thinks about the same thing. These children doesn't know anything else to reject that. There are kids who might consider this as a true and adopt it easily, and certain kids, without even realizing why, they feel suffocated, they kind of hesitate to accept that kind of teachings of life, and they still struggle even if they live that life. Children who are born into families with a lot of generational curses, very negative mentality, behaviors, their belief systems, their assumptions, their thoughts, their opinion about life, everything is very negative, far from it. And either they give them, so I'm the adult, so that is why you have to believe it because I know better, my parents taught me this, society is this way, religious also says the same thing. They give 1,000 examples to teach that wrong things to those kids, and kids doesn't know. And if you see, I say this too many times, even if you take one timeline on earth, different religion, if you see different continents, families, religion, society, culture, they teach different things. If one is considered as beautiful in one country and another country that's considered as ugly, if doing one thing is right in one country, doing the same thing is considered as a wrong thing to do in another country. So what is right, what is wrong then? It should come from within. In a spirit world, my spirit guardian says that in a spirit world, right and wrong is very different. On earth, because of our free will, whatever we consider as right and wrong, because we believe, it becomes that. So if we hold on to certain belief system that is actually suffocating us, it's our responsibility to break through that belief system, that behaviors that is wrong for us. Easy way to do it is to try to remember who we are and our own idea of what we are. It's easy to create a book and make people believe. For example, any subject you take, there are a lot of books are there. You read it, you learn it, and you internalize it, and To a certain extent, it seems like a truth, but only if you try to be the seeker and try to find out answers directly from the divine world. You have a high chance, if you're sincere, you have a high chance of receiving that directly from the source. That is way better, isn't it? It is like what happens on earth is very different, and what happens outside the earth is very different. You know, people who have amnesia, they behave in a very different way. People remember who they are, behave in a very different way. People who are very docile, who let others control them, no matter how they are, their life will be very suffocated. So it's not the circumstances, it is the person who has to change. My topic, I really wanted to talk about this because we have to change our mentality to a certain extent to realize that just because somebody says something, that does not become our reality. If we let everybody give their opinion about us, then everybody says one thing. If somebody says one thing today to us, they may change their opinion tomorrow based on our own behavior towards them or their own mood that they have in their life. Because their opinion changed, just because their opinion changed because of their experience in their life or their mood changed. If we mold ourselves based on what others think of us, then it means that we are living for others. Many people consider being humble as something a virtue to do. Being humble, if you're forced to be humble, then that is not a virtue. If you are in a place where you do not need to be humble and you chooses to be humble, that is completely different. That also without losing your respect for yourself. If a situation forces you to behave in a very humble way, for example, there are a lot of parents who are nice to their kids. They're so pushy. If somebody relatives comes and suddenly relative starts to pick on the kids, and this parents doesn't stand up for their kids, and if suddenly kids starts get irritated and starts to stand up for themselves, suddenly these parents are the ones who stop them, saying you cannot say such things to no adults, what they will think of us, how we raised you badly, to speak back. Parents are doesn't have to be verbally, mentally, physically abusive. These kind of parents are also the ones who actually raise very weak, nice kids. Nice means you are forced to be nice. By choice, you are not nice because you end up sacrificing a lot, you end up compromising a lot because you were taught that that is the way of life. And if you're trying to do something that makes you feel guilty, if you try to do something opposite to that, either it would make you feel guilty for doing that because you think you're doing something really wrong, because you were taught that doing or following your heart is the wrong thing to do, because your parents thought your religion or your culture or your society, your friends, your society, the way you lived, that taught you that way. So many people they end up giving right to other people to disrespect them in the name of being humble. For example, in a lot of cultures, adults expect their younger ones to by default respect them. It doesn't matter how they behave, they expect their younger ones, even the strangers, expect them to, I'm an adult, I'm elder than you, you have to respect me by default, you have to trust everything that I say, you have to give me this and that, I have a right over you because I have a life experience. Everybody's life experience is very different. Just because someone is older doesn't make them having a lot of life experience. There are a lot of younger ones who have a lot of life experiences. Their experience is different, their opinion is different, their life is different, their emotions are different, their ability to do and not to do things are different. My point is, people who have that self-love for themselves, like they really don't care. No matter how many times their parents say they have either grown a thicker skin or something from within that, made them not to listen to elders, these kind of criticisms, forcefulness, manipulation, and they do what they want to do. Until they are not intentionally cruel to somebody else, that is completely different. I'll tell you a simple thing how things are different. Usually there are kids in the family are treated differently by parents. It happens in every kind of family. So the idea of how the parental love is different from kids to kids. That is why some people in the same family, when they are talking about how their childhood went, their experience, their memories are very different because their parents treated them very differently. Their parents raised them very differently. So some kids have very good opinion about their same parent and some kids doesn't. It's because they were treated very differently. So usually what happens is, in a normal healthy family, kids are allowed to talk about their opinion, if even if that completely goes against what the parents' opinion is. They are, children are allowed to show their emotions, show their disagreement, and they can sit down and express their disagreement easily without being fearful of being punished for it. And in toxic family, what happens is parents don't want their children to stand up and speak. All they want is their children to be obedient. And they have a certain mentality and they expect their children to do that XYZ every single time in all their areas of their life. This is exactly why children of such families suffer a lot. So these kids are the ones, especially if you are born as an elder child in such family, making such children, responsible for other siblings. These are not very responsible behavior from any parent. Children are never supposed to behave like a replacement for their parents to their own siblings. A lot of children lose their childhood because they had to grow up faster and they are credited. People praise them, was you're so mature for so young age, and kids thinks that this is some kind of achievement that they did. No, it will show up when they're in their adulthood. A lot of wounds, a lot of unhealed traumas, a lot of expectation from others because they could never feel that in their childhood, and suddenly they want it happen. They want that from their life partner, from their own children, because they couldn't experience their childhood the way they are supposed to be. Even smallest of the thing, I'll give you a simple example. Usually, those kids who are molded into become this people pleaser, where they're appreciated when they're sacrificing something, when they're suppressing themselves, when they're compromising something, they're appreciated by their family, their friends, the society, by giving them some kind of, you're such a nice girl, you're such a very mature person, for your age, you act so maturely, you're so understanding, you're so this and that. Not only they receive because they sacrificed something, they compromised something, they couldn't open up their opinion and they had to suppress their emotions, their opinions, they had to hide their disagreement with their adults in their life. So such people, they always seek validation, approval from others. I'll give you a simple example. Usually such kids grow, even when they grow, especially when they're growing up, they will go to their parents for permission to do something because their consciousness makes them feel guilty to do something which, if they do something that they know that their parents would not agree or they would not accept. So they always seek permission from their parents. I want to do this, can I do this, can I go there, can I be there, can I do this, can I say this? And there are kids who doesn't care, who do the things first, then apologize. And usually such parents, even if they get angry, these secondary category of the kids who doesn't care, they have that self-love, self-respect. So no matter what parent says, if it is negative for them, it's not about who's right or wrong. And there is very clear understanding. You have to understand, because the idea of right and wrong is very different in every family, in every situation, person to person. These kids, one type of kids who are obedient, who are being praised for that patience, mature behavior because they compromise, they sacrifice, they do not have a voice. They may stand up for somebody else, but they will never stand up for themselves because they are molded into be that docile, soft, pushy, gentle kind of a people. They may stand up for somebody else, but to do that for themselves, it's harder for them. So these kind of a people who always look for, you know, they actually receive praises to be that, from their parents, from their uncles and aunties. Such a nice child, isn't it? Such a nice student, isn't it? And they take it as a pride, and they think it is some kind of a virtue. It actually is not something you should be proud of. You are actually trying to abandon yourself to please somebody else, and in a longer run, it will show up in a different way. That dissatisfaction, that bottled up emotions may manifest into different thing. So those secondary category of the kids, they do whatever they want. They are not caring towards their parents that scared. They are not scared. They do the thing first, then they apologize. Even if they had to listen to a lot of criticism, they'll do what they want. These kind of kids, when they grow up, it's, I'm generally speaking, it's always better to be that way, than being in a place of always being this obedient like a dog. And usually parents who turn their children into some kind of obedient people, their expectation from their children is very much high. So that will never stop unless that child itself starts to realize that I cannot do this anymore. And usually people spend their 20s, 30s, 40s doing that kind of thing. Some people spend their whole life pleasing their parents because either they think it's their responsibility, or they think they cannot get out of it, or some reason that make them stick to themselves. They think this is a way of being humble. That is not. A person, when they have a ability to be rude and they still not doing that, is their choice. If you have that kind of a choice and ability to do so, and if you're still trying to be humble, then actually that is being humble. Having self-respect is very much important. People's opinion is different. If a good person sees you doing something, they may appreciate you. If the same thing that is done by you is watched or observed by somebody who has a different mindset, they may say something very negative towards you. For example, I'll tell you. For example, person A, take it yourself. If you're somebody who directly doesn't get into a point, who hesitate, if you want to have a conversation with an authority figure, you go to them, you say, hello, how are you doing? And you start from something pleasant to introduce yourself or do something other talking. Then you get to the point why you wanted to talk. You mean you're not directly having a conversation. If that person is having a certain personality, they may appreciate you not directly going to the point. But if that person is very in a different person, they may actually get irritated. Say, why do you talk about other things? Why did you want it to come? Why you're here? Why you're standing? Why you're speaking something nonsense? Get to the point. And that is how things are. So if you're somebody who directly goes and says what is that you wanted to say without having to converse about other things, and if you go to the same person and starts talking, it is going to be the same thing. That person may appreciate it, that person might not appreciate it. That person may say, why are you directly talking? You should have started from something nicer, isn't it? It's not really nice to talk about these kind of things directly. And there is also a possibility, that person may actually appreciate it because you're directly speaking to the point without talking about this and that. So it is never about others. Every kind of people are there. It's better we adopt a personality that is good for us. Not letting anybody disrespecting us is also our job. People who are more religious, they are like, God is in other people. What about you? You also have God within you, isn't it? Do you want yourself to be disrespected? When you can see, divinity in other people and forget to see divinity in yourself, it means you are letting others to disrespect that divinity in you. How rightful that it is. Loving other people who loves you back is a good thing, but we must learn to love ourselves. That is the point of life. For example, if there is a shop there where free things are available, even those people who are not in the need of those things will go to that shop to take things for free because it's free. It's free. If there is a shop where everything is priced properly, then people, when they have money, then only they will go. They will pay a proper price and then they will buy only the things that they want to buy, that they need or they wishes to buy. Whatever they decided to buy, they will pay and then they will take it. They will not take that thing for granted. Human relationship, our worth, it's all correlated to self-love, self-respect, how much respect that we have for ourselves. It depends on a lot of things. This is why a child who grew up in a family where they they are molded, they are taught to be that obedient, humble person by making them sacrificing, compromising. They are not allowed to speak their heart. Either it's fight or flight. They running away from having a tough conversation. Either they suppress it a lot, and until they cannot suppress it anymore, they suppress. In one time, in the final moment, it all comes out like a blast. So instead of doing, it's because they were never allowed. Usually, they were never allowed to speak and show that grievance with their own family, with their adults, who were authority figure in their life, who raised them as your parents or grandparents or whatever. Sometimes even when the parents are not actually verbally or physically or mentally abusive, but they're so weak enough to they let anybody walk into their family to tell their kids off. Instead of supporting their kids, they end up supporting the other people, and they may apologize to just adjust, they're all adults so we cannot do anything, but they will never speak for your sake with others. If somebody says something to you, that is how it is. It hurts a lot to those kind of children growing up. They confused whether our parents loves us or not. Everyone's family is very different. So developing an idea that ego and self-respect is very, very different. Some might say you have a lot of ego, but it doesn't have to be truth. Because people having expectations from you and you not obliging to do that may makes them feel like you have ego, because they're also taught something similar. If you behave this way, this is ego. If you behave this way, this is humble. So their opinion also comes from the same indoctrination. So if somebody, whoever you are, all wants a life where you do not want anybody to take you for granted, when you want to speak up and stand up for yourself, you want to release that suffocation, because these kind of a people who are grow up bottling up their emotions, it is called a trauma response, because they fear if they speak up something will happen. Maybe that person may get angry and this person doesn't know how to respond to that anger, or that person may leave, the relationship might change. What if they start to do something out of fear? What if that person start to retaliate? This is all overthinking happens because of that trauma response. It's called trauma response. The more you try to tell yourself, what is the point of overthinking? Nothing comes out of overthinking anyway. What if they get angry? So what? Am I speaking anything wrong? No. Then if they get angry, it's their problem. If they want to leave, they leave. Why? Why do we need to hold on to those people who are not good for us? If they try to retaliate, then we'll do something about it. Why should I be, keep quiet and suffer? I should stand up for myself, isn't it? If you have that kind of, if you have that kind of issues, having this kind of self-talk will help a lot. And standing in front of the mirror in the morning and telling yourself that you love yourself, that you support yourself, you forgive yourself, and you will always be there for you. Anything that you really want to hear from somebody adult in your life, like a parental figure, you wanted to hear that kind of thing. That makes you happy. If there's somebody say, I'm proud of you, I'm happy that you've grown up to a beautiful person. You're so strong. I love you. I protect you. I support you. Everybody want to hear this kind of things from their parents or their loved ones, their siblings or anybody. So we can say that to ourselves when we get up early in the morning and going to the bed, standing in front of the mirror and speaking to ourselves. It is a way to change our subconsciousness. It is like rewriting the memory that we have within our own self. The way we behave also changes because of that. When we come to a point of realization that there is nothing wrong with me, I am the way I am, everybody is different, this is me. As long as I'm not intentionally trying to hurt somebody with malicious intent, I'm okay. I'm just trying to protect myself from somebody who's not good for me. This kind of realization helps coming out of that guilt, because a lot of people who are that, kinder ones, they feel guilty to speak up. They feel guilty to fight an argument. They're sensitive to criticisms because, they're emotionally very vulnerable. So if you're some kind of very sensitive person, try to be there for yourself. It's okay to let go of people. If what is the point of keeping people in your life if they are not good for you? What is the point? If you have a dog and if you let that dog run away with everything, how long you can chase the dog? If that dog doesn't love you, it's better to let that dog go, isn't it? Well, it's up to you. I just want to say that everybody's life is very different. Their religion, their family, how much toxicity it is there, how much resistance that you already have within your own self to certain circumstances, what kind of support system that you have, that you yourself, your family, somebody, friends, or somebody made you realize that you need to be there for yourself. Sometimes social media also helps a lot, because people sharing their own life experiences, making people realize that they are not the only one who's suffering in their life. Because many times, if you don't know what's going on in someone else's life, these people are the one who usually think that they are the only one who's suffering a lot. When you look into other people's life, for example, are there a lot of social medias there, where you can hear this kind of thing happening, and then suddenly realize, oh, there are a lot of people also in the world going through the same situation, irrespective of their religion, their society, their culture, their age, their system, family system. So this is something normally happens all around the world, so I can get over it. It helps a lot to heal, to come to a place of understanding that it's happening, let's change myself a little bit. So what's the problem is these kids becoming an adult where they do not value themselves, because they feel guilty and they consider certain behaviors, decisions as being rude, being arrogant, having ego, because they were taught that way. So if you're somebody like that, contemplation is very good, meditation is very good. Lots of answers comes to us when we meditate and dwell on that issue that we have. It's always better to directly ask clarity, answers, guidance, suggestions from the divine world than sitting in a place of feeling confused or not knowing why my heart saying this but my head is saying something else, kind of a thing. Heart always knows. Head may say something else. Heart always knows usually. We just have to learn a way to find a courage to follow our heart. Sometimes what do people think? No, what if somebody gets hurt in the process and they end up hurting themselves? So this is my suggestion. There is a difference between self-respect and ego. Self-respect is you prioritizing your love towards yourself and not letting anybody disrespect you in the name of whatsoever rituals, family traditions, age, experience, their positions, religion, society, culture, whatsoever. Ego is something you are trying to show off something because you want to do it. It is not for others, it is for you. Ego is something that you do it because you want to do it. It doesn't matter whether somebody gets hurt or not, without any feeling guilty about it. And most likely, ego is something that you particularly want to show off. For example, a simple example can be in a family where I've seen this in a TV long time ago, where two kids are there in the family of different parents. One kid has a lot of awards, and another kid doesn't have much of an award. So they both have a same teacher, and suddenly adults in the family decided that they have to keep the award inside, to not to make that the second child not feel lesser about it, and the first child feels awkward, and it also thinks that I am the one who win all the award, but the second child is feeling lesser about it because of it, so I have to hide that. And suddenly the teacher comes one day, and teacher sees, where is your awards? And suddenly this teacher stands up for the kid and says, why you are hiding your achievements because to please somebody else? You're not in competition with them, no? So this kid is made to feel that way. Despite having that, it lost its respect towards itself to please somebody else because the parents taught that way. Until that teacher came and made it realize that that is not. No, we should be proud of our achievement. Not to show off to somebody else, but to accept it as it is. Yes, I achieved it. This is for me. And if somebody else have any problem with it, it's their problem. You're not actively trying to show off to that kid's face, look what I did. Because of that, you're inferior. That is ego. That is the difference. If this kid has grown into a person where it kept mocking that second child, look how many awards that I have. You always come second. That is ego. Self-respect is this kid actually realizing that this is who I am, the one who win all the achievements, awards and stuff. I'm not hiding it and not letting anybody do that. That is self-respect. There is a difference. You're not mocking anybody. That mockery is kind of a thing is ego. So people do a lot because they confuse these two things. So if you're somebody, contemplate and try to find your own answers, because everybody's situation is different. Their opinion is different. You may never agree to something that I may say today, but you may agree after 10 years. You never know, because life experiences gives you life lessons. So contemplation is a way sometimes to understand things in a clearer manner, because our perception changes based on our own ideology, our own way of judging things, because of the information that we have absorbed, because of the experience that we think that is we went through from our own perspective. There are a lot of things affects human thoughts, influences from outside. As a soul, that we do remember our essence of our soul. That is why some people can never accept that toxic ideology, no matter how many times their parents teach them. So those people who are docile, this is for you. There is a difference between self-love, self-respect, and ego. If you try to differentiate that by contemplation and try to make decision based on love towards yourself, it can never be ego. It is just that you're just accepting you as you are, your achievements, your things that you think that you are, good or bad, whatever it is. It is just self-acceptance. And acting from that point to protect your own respect is self-respect. It is not showing off. It is not an ego. I hope you understand. Contemplation is better than listening to somebody else's life experience, no matter how old they are. You do the same thing, you just don't have to directly believe it. You can seek this answer yourself. That's all I want to say.